Meet Og. Og is a caveman, and this morning Og woke up absolutely determined to be productive. He rolled out of his cave, cracked his knuckles, and climbed straight onto his treadmill, a giant stone wheel that his tribe built specifically for looking busy. He spent 20 minutes arranging his rocks in the perfect formation before starting. He made a detailed list of all the mammoth hunting he was going to do. He sharpened his club so thoroughly that there was basically no club left. And then, finally, he climbed on and started running. Sprinting, actually. Sweating, breathing hard, completely exhausted. And after 6 solid hours of effort, he had moved exactly 0 meters forward. Sound familiar? Because here's what nobody tells you when you start college or walk into your first job. There is a thing called false productivity, and it is the most dangerous trap you will ever fall into. False productivity looks like work. It feels like effort. Your brain gives you a full reward for it, and it produces absolutely nothing. Right now, millions of students are deep inside it, highlighting entire textbooks, color-coding notes they'll never look at again, reorganizing their desk instead of sitting at it, making the perfect study playlist before doing 0 studying, working harder than they ever have, moving nowhere. But this video? This is your way off the treadmill. By the end, you're going to understand exactly why your brain keeps putting you back on that wheel, the 3 counterintuitive hacks that actually move you forward, and the one shift that separates people who genuinely get ahead from people who just look like they're trying. And stay right to the end, because the last section is where the whole system clicks into place, and it's the part most people never figure out on their own. Let me take you back to a Tuesday in my first year of college. It was 11 p.m., exam the next morning. I'd been at my desk for 6 solid hours with my textbook open and highlighter in hand, marking every single line like my life depended on color coding. By midnight, the entire book was yellow. Every page, every paragraph. I looked at it and felt genuinely proud of myself. I thought, I have done the work. I am prepared. I might actually be a genius. I walked into that exam the next morning, and I could not recall the third point of anything. I had spent 6 hours on the treadmill, running hard, sweating, completely exhausted, and I hadn't moved an inch. Here's what was actually happening inside my brain during those 6 hours, and this is the part that nobody teaches you in school. Every time I reread a sentence I'd already seen, my brain recognized the words, released a tiny hit of dopamine, and whispered, "You know this." But I didn't know it. I'd just seen it, and my brain, which evolved over 300,000 years to conserve energy because wasting it could literally get your prehistoric ancestors killed, decided that recognizing something was the same as knowing it. This is called the fluency illusion, and it is the engine that keeps the treadmill running. It's false productivity in its purest form. The brain manufactures the feeling of accomplishment to avoid the discomfort of real effort. And the smarter you are, the more convincing it feels. Og wasn't lazy. Og was working incredibly hard at the wrong thing. That's always the cruelest version of false productivity. It disguises itself as virtue. Researchers at Washington University found that students who reread their notes scored no better on tests than students who read them just once. Not a little better, the exact same. Rereading is the highest speed setting on the treadmill. It feels like maximum effort. It looks like studying, and it produces almost nothing. The highlight addiction, the beautiful color-coded notes, the long library sessions, all of it is Og sprinting in place with absolute conviction. But once you know the treadmill exists, you can step off it, and that's exactly what we're going to do right now. The first step off the treadmill is called active recall, and it sounds almost insultingly simple when I say it out loud. Instead of rereading what you've studied, you close everything, textbook, notes, laptop, and you try to write down everything you remember. Blank page, no peeking, even if all you can produce is 3 bullet points and a diagram that looks like Og drew it with a mammoth bone. You do it, because what you're doing in that moment is not passive consumption. You're forcing your brain to build actual retrieval pathways, the neural connections that make information stick long-term, rather than evaporating 3 days after the exam like a Snapchat. Researchers at Purdue University tested this directly. Students who used active recall instead of rereading retained 50% more information 1 week later. 50% more. That's not a marginal improvement. That's the difference between scraping a pass and genuinely owning the subject. That's the difference between guessing and knowing. And here's the beautiful part. It takes less time. 20 focused minutes of active recall outperform performs 2 hours of passive rereading. This is Og stepping off the treadmill and realizing he's been 5 feet from the exit door the entire time. The exit was always there. He just kept running instead of looking up. The way to start is embarrassingly simple. After every study block, set a 5-minute timer. Close everything. Write down what you remember. No peeking. Then open your notes, check what you missed, and fill the gaps. Do this every session for 2 weeks. Your results will change. I promise you that. But active recall alone won't save you if the treadmill has a remote control, and most of us have handed that remote to something else entirely. Imagine Og has finally stepped off the treadmill. He's standing still, feeling good, getting things done, and then from across the cave, he hears it. A ping, a buzz, a tiny red number on a small glowing rectangle, and without even deciding to, Og is back on the treadmill, running faster than before. Here's the thing nobody tells you about your mobile phone. It was specifically engineered to put you back on that wheel. The notification badge, the infinite scroll that never quite ends, the dopamine hit when someone likes your post. These are not accidents. They are features built by billion-dollar teams of behavioral scientists whose entire job is to make you unable to stop. You're not struggling with willpower. You're in a battle of willpower against some of the sharpest minds in the world, and you're trying to beat them with a sticky note that says no phone during study or work time.
Here are the actual numbers. The average person checks their phone 150 times a day. Neuroscientists at UC Irvine found that a single notification, one you don't even open, one you don't even look at, breaks your focus for an average of 23 minutes. 23 minutes per notification. On a normal day, you could be losing 4 to 5 hours of genuine focus to notifications you barely registered. That's not a productivity problem. That's a hijacked treadmill. And it gets worse. A study from the University of Texas found that just having your phone on your desk, face down, on silent, measurably reduces your working memory and fluid intelligence. Your brain is spending background energy resisting the urge to pick it up, even when you're not consciously aware of it. The treadmill is still running in the background. You're just not watching the dial. The fix is not willpower. The fix is distance. Phone in another room. Physically, not in your bag, another room. I started doing this, and my average focused work session went from 12 minutes to 45 without changing a single other thing. One move. Og finally puts down the remote. The treadmill powers off. Here's the treadmill's most convincing lie. That running longer means going further. That 8 hours of studying beats 4. That taking work home enables you to get more done. That the all-nighter is a sign of commitment rather than a sign that you've completely misunderstood how your brain works. Og figured this out the hard way, too. He once sprinted on the treadmill for 10 straight hours. No breaks, no food, no water. By hour 4, he was producing nothing, but the treadmill was still running. He was still moving his legs, and from the outside, he looked absolutely dedicated. From the inside, he had mentally checked out at hour 2 and was just going through the motions. Cognitive science is very clear on this. The brain can sustain genuinely high-quality focused work for roughly 90 minutes before performance drops sharply. After that, you're not studying, you're performing the act of studying, which is somehow more exhausting than actual work and produces almost none of the results. You're on the treadmill at max speed, burning everything, going nowhere. Sound familiar? Because I just described every exam week of college. The solution is to run in bursts. 25 minutes of absolute full focus, phone in another room, active recall-based studying. 5-minute break, real break, stand up, move, do not open Instagram, 4 rounds of that, then a proper 30-minute rest. This is the Pomodoro technique, and the reason it works is not just about focus, it's about urgency. When you know the sprint has a finish line, your brain commits. It stops half running. It goes. And crucially, timed sprints kill the most insidious form of false productivity, the long, comfortable, borderline meditative study session, where you're technically present, but mentally somewhere else entirely. You know the one. You've been in the library for 4 hours, and you're on your 3rd overpriced coffee, and you've reread the same paragraph 7 times, and you actually couldn't tell anyone what it says. The timer ends that. It forces honesty. Either you did the work in 25 minutes, or you didn't. No gray zone, no treadmill. Think of it this way. Og doesn't need a longer treadmill session.
solution. He needs a real destination. Short, honest sprints towards something real beat marathon false productivity sessions going nowhere every single time. Now here's where it all comes together, because these three things, active recall, phone in another room, and sprint sessions, are not three separate hacks. They're one system, and when you run them together, something shifts that most people spend their entire college years never experiencing. By the end of Og's day, the real day, not the treadmill day, something strange had happened. He'd worked for less total time than usual. He'd sweated less. He'd felt less exhausted, and he'd actually moved forward towards something. For the first time in as long as he could remember, the effort had gone somewhere. That's what the system does. Active recall stops the fluency illusion. Your brain builds real retrieval pathways instead of fake familiarity. Putting your phone in another room turns off the remote control. The treadmill loses power, and sprint sessions replace the endurance delusion. You stop running forever and start running well. The students who quietly top their classes aren't grinding longer than you. They're not sleeping less or sacrificing more. They've just stepped off the treadmill. They work in shorter, sharper bursts. They test themselves instead of rereading. They treat their phone like the treadmill remote it is, and they put it somewhere they can't reach it. 2 focused hours beats 8 distracted ones, every time, without exception. Your law or accounting colleagues who made partner ahead of you aren't necessarily putting in more hours in their own time. The manager who got promoted ahead of you got there through working smarter, not being more intelligent. You now have everything you need, not as a list of tips, as a complete operating system, a way of working that actually matches how your brain functions, built for the exact pressures that college students and professionals face every day. Og didn't need a bigger treadmill. He needed to step off, and so do you. I want to leave you with one challenge before you go. Pick one thing from this video, just one, and try it tomorrow. Whether you're a student facing challenging exams or a professional working in corporate, put your phone in another room for a single study or work session. Do 5 minutes of active recall or focused organizing after one class or planning meeting. Set one Pomodoro timer. One thing. See what happens, and come back and tell me in the comments, because I genuinely want to know. If this video helped you, even a little, subscribe to this channel, and I want to give you a real reason to, not just the usual "it helps me" outline. Every single week on this channel, I'll break down science-backed, no-fluff strategies for students and young professionals who actually want to move forward and not just look busy. And it's completely free. And if this one helped move the needle, tap the like button. It takes 2 seconds. It tells YouTube to show this to more students and professionals who are stuck on their own treadmill. And honestly, it means more than you think.